Hi guys, it's Carissa, and today I'm going to do a tag that I made up. I don't know if it exists. If it does, I'm guessing it's a little bit different at least than this. And if you like it, you can do it too. But I'm going to try and do it quickly and just do it on my phone and not edit it. So that might add to the challenge, but I thought that this would be a fun tag to do because it is a little more challenging to think of answers. I'm going to call it the unexpected tag because the answers should all be about something about you that someone would be surprised to hear. You know, it's an answer that isn't necessarily what they'd expect. So I wrote down a few categories. There's not many of them. And I don't even know if I have answers for some of these, so we'll see what happens as I go through them. The first one is crush. And I think for that I'm going to say John Goodman. Yeah, I'll say that. Smell. For this, I would say the first thing that comes to mind also sounds kind of gross because I'm not one of those types who likes the smell of gasoline or skunk. You know how some people like that kind of stuff. But my pets, specifically my two cats and my two dogs, each of them has their own breath. Like their breath smells a certain way. And it isn't pleasant, but it's not really, it's not horrible. And it suits each of them. It's like that's part of who, like if you blindfolded me, I would be able to know what pet was in front of me by their breath, which sounds really gross, but it's also something that I like about them. It's like a smell that's comforting in a way. I feel like I can't elaborate on that more without sounding even more strange. Next is talent. And I guess a talent that people would be surprised to hear that I have is that I can hula hoop better than the average person, or better than just anybody, I guess, if they were to pick up a hula hoop. It's mainly because my waist is like my largest measurement, very wide in the middle, but I can hold my own with a hula hoop as long as it's like the right size and weight. I can do it. Movie. I know exactly what I'm going to say for this because it was unexpected for me even. We used to get Entertainment Weekly, and I read all about, now I can't remember what it's called. It's a post-apocalyptic movie with Denzel Washington in it. Book of Eli, that's what it's called. And for some reason, Mike was really excited to see this movie because of the post-apocalyptic theme. Like, that's his favorite. So I read these reviews in the magazine, and then I read them online, and I kept reading things like, this movie is so bad it's going to end the genre. It's going to make people not want to touch it anymore. It's so bad. So when it came time to go see it, I was basically kicking and screaming. The whole way there, I was cracking jokes like, so are you going to regret this when I put this in our divorce papers and blah, blah, blah. I was being really harsh. And I loved that movie. I thought it was really good. And I'm kind of embarrassed to say that in case other people feel the same way the critics did, but man, it really got me because it had a twist ending, and I love a twist ending if I don't see it coming. So I ate my words on that one. He got to tease me about that. Hobby. I don't really have a hobby that would be unexpected of me. Does this count? Wow, this is going to be a really unflattering portrayal of who I am. So I like to clean pores, specifically blackheads. I don't like popping pimples, and I don't like pus and all that stuff, but I'm talking about like a sebum, like an oil and skin clogged pore. That is why I went to beauty school, to be an esthetician, because I was really looking forward to being able to clean people's pores and not having them be upset about it or not want me to do it. Because my husband is not a big fan, and he doesn't even really have that much that I can work on. And of course, I'm so on top of my face, my nose and any areas that I could possibly have the littlest blackhead, that that I don't really get the satisfaction of really sitting and like squeezing blackheads like consecutively for a long period of time. And if Mike has one and he's like, oh honey, I think I got something on my arm here that you need to squeeze at, whether it's a good one or not, it's usually a dud. Usually it's like no big deal and I get all upset. Whether it's a good one or not, it just gets me going and I'm like, can I just keep looking for something more? So I wouldn't call that a hobby by any means, but maybe that's something you'd be surprised to hear about me. I don't know. Next is I wrote flavor or food, like, I don't know, something in that category, something that you would eat or taste that would surprise someone. And the only reason why I guess I'm going to say this is because it tends to be really unpopular, but I like black licorice. I wouldn't buy it on its own, but like if I get a bag of jelly beans, for example, I got a bag of jelly beans. Just like the Just Born brand, the plain original jelly beans. And I will eat the black licorice ones. Sometimes I'll eat those first. I like them. So I wouldn't just buy a bag of licorice, but there's that, I guess. I have pet peeve. So this is hard because you have to think about a pet peeve that other people would think is no big deal or that would surprise them that it actually bothers you. And I've talked to some of my friends about this before. I'm going to apologize ahead of time because some of you may do this. And to me, it's really more if somebody does it like as a bad habit, as a transition. I know what mine is. Mine is the word so. I will start a sentence with the word so almost every time I start talking, whether I'm making a video or not. So just to show you, I'm guilty of something like this too. But to me, something that really, for some reason, really grates at me that I know most people probably don't even notice is when someone says something like, yeah. And it has no significance to the story at all. But some people use it as like a transition after they say one thing to go talk about something else. I know, it sounds really picky. But if somebody's like, so, yeah. And it might be something like, I know they used to do that on The Office all the time and other TV shows. It's just a thing people say and do. But I'm weirdly sensitive to it. So if somebody does it 5 or 6 times in a YouTube video while I'm watching, sometimes I get all irritated by it. And then I start like listening for it. That sounds, why am I doing this tag? That sounds so picky. But I know you're probably listening to this right now thinking, yeah, there are some things that people say and do that aren't typical pet peeves. Like, you know, people being rude or people being impatient. But it's something very simple and innocent, but it still bothers you. Whatever. Okay, the next one is song. I don't really have a specific song, but I think people would be surprised to know that I have an affinity for white rappers. I don't know what it is. Mike makes fun of me for it. And I didn't even realize I was doing it. But I was listening to a lot of white rappers one day and he kind of picked on me. I do also, like I know Macklemore is really popular right now and I love him, but I also like Machine Gun Kelly. Just a couple songs. I don't know his whole catalog or anything, but anyway, I also really like 90s R&B, which is surprising if you knew me in the 90s. I didn't like it at all. I didn't like any of that stuff. I was very much into like, you know, the depressing grunge music. You know, you put on a lot of eyeliner and cry in the corner. And that's what I liked. But no, okay, I do have a song. I do have a song that would surprise people maybe that I love. And it's California Love. I know all the words. I don't know what it is. I just love that song. And I know Tupac is in it, right? Tupac is in that. And I would not know any of his music. Like, I don't know what else he has done. But I love that song. I even had them play it at my wedding because I like it so much. And I don't know why. There's no reason for it. I just like it. This tag's really embarrassing. Okay, so next category is fear. And I don't have an unexpected fear because most of my fears, I think, are rational. like, you know, emergency situations and natural disasters and, you know, people that I love being ill or passing away. I'm not afraid of spiders or bugs or snakes. I'm not afraid of stuff like that. But one thing that I can think of, I can't think of anything else that gets to me like this. Yeah, heights bother me. These are common things. But one thing that I don't think I could ever do, and the thought of it just freaks me out, and I'm probably going to be all freaked out for the rest of the day for just talking about it. I could never have my tongue pierced. The thought, just the way a tongue is, it just seems so fibrous and so muscular, and just, I feel like I just picture like it, like a ripping feeling. Oh, it just freaks me out so bad. And I know a lot of people have their tongues pierced or have had it done, but I also know people who've had it go wrong, like the bar wasn't long enough and their tongue swelled and it was like pulling. Oh, all that stuff. It just freaks me out. I've had piercings before too, but that's one that I don't think I could ever do. The last category is goal. And I don't have an answer for this one either. So I'm just going to say this, because I guess this is a goal of mine someday. It might be unexpected, but I don't know any second languages. I took French in high school, and I probably should learn some Spanish eventually, because it's, you know, it's very prevalent. And I have family in Japan. I have Japanese family that, you know, it would be great if I could go to Japan and learn how to speak Japanese. That seems really difficult though. But what I actually want to do is learn a decent amount of conversational sign language. I think it would be really great when I have kids someday. And I live in an area where there is a large population of deaf people or people who come here for, the Technical Institute has the Institute of the Deaf, I think it's called. So there's a large population, and they're mainly college age because of the school, but there are also people who live here and like moved here because of that, and it's, the area is very friendly to people who are hearing impaired, I guess. And when I worked in retail, I would encounter people frequently that I was unable to communicate with effectively because there was a language barrier. And you'd have to, you know, write a really crappy note real quick, or back then, you know, people would have like a sidekick and they'd type their question to you, but it was really hard to answer them. You know, you'd have to usually run and write it down or hope that they could read lips really well and understand you. So I feel like that would just be a nice thing to know. And that's a goal of mine, is to learn that someday. I haven't even started. Couldn't tell you the slightest thing, but I do want to do that someday. So that is my unexpected tag, which I'm coming out of feeling really insecure and embarrassed by. So please join me and do it yourself. I think that, you know, some of you crazy broads who are doing Veda right now, if you need an extra tag, I would love to hear your answers to this. So thank you for entertaining me or letting me entertain you. I don't know. I'm going to go now. Bye, guys.